need to know. Also, residents hitting the stores today prepping for tropical storm conditions. And do you know which shelters are in your area? We've got you covered.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
Of any type of activity that we are anticipating to get is our tropical storm status.
The northern Bahamas remains on high alert with the tropical storm watch now in effect. Good evening, all. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thanks for tuning in. And Hurricane Milton, one of the strongest storms ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin, is moving toward west central Florida. Residents are urged to brace for deteriorating weather conditions in the coming days. Raven Davis has tonight's top story.
With Hurricane Milton closing in, all eyes are on the northern Bahamas, where a tropical storm watch has been issued by the Bahamas Department of Meteorology. Residents are now bracing for what could be a relatively rough few days ahead.
There's a likelihood of any type of activity that we are anticipating to get is our tropical storm status. So that's, winds roughly, like we said, winds about 35 knots or so, about 35 miles an hour in that range.
Meanwhile, Hurricane Milton has lightly weakened from a Cat 5 to a Category 4 hurricane and is expected to barrel down on Florida Wednesday, October 9th, which is when officials say weather conditions will begin to deteriorate on Grand Bahama.
What we have today is what we call just a lull between the two systems. We may feel a couple of shower activity and stuff like that lingering from that system we had yesterday, but for tomorrow, we're looking at winds start to gradually increase. And then for Wednesday night into Thursday, that's where we'll have mostly strong windy conditions and some out-of-band activity.
As for wind speeds, Tyne says they can range from 25 to 35 knots, with gusts reaching 40 to 45 miles per hour, particularly on Thursday. And as for October 9th,
we'll be expecting to see 15 to 20, 15 to 25, which is easy for us to handle. That's not a problem. But then when we get the high gusts, those stuff will start to move things around. And then also with the outer bands of the system, we are anticipating some outer bands to be moving through.
On Monday, schools across Abaco, Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Grand Key closed for face-to-face instruction. Tyne says it was a wise move, as it is important to err on the side of caution.
The weather could change rapidly, and like we were talking, we do have a frontal boundary in the area. The ground is already soaked and wet, and we don't want the kids to be splashing around in any mud or get caught in any sudden shower activity.
Now, weather officials say it is now the second phase of the hurricane season. While Hurricanes Kirk and Leslie are currently turning in the Atlantic, Tyne says they do not pose an immediate threat to the Bahamas, and at this time, Milton remains their primary focus. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Raven Davis.
Thanks, Raven. Well, the Minister for Grand Bahama releasing a statement on Hurricane Milton. According to the release, she says, we know the strength and resilience of our island community, but we also know the impact and immense challenges that a storm like this can bring. Now is the time to prepare. She urges residents to pay attention to the official updates from the Met Department and make sure you and your loved ones have everything you need: emergency supplies, a safe shelter, and a solid plan. Residents in flood-prone areas or at home that may not withstand the storm should move to higher ground. Meantime, Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama, Kingsley Smith, also releasing a statement urging all residents of West Grand Bahama and Bimini to begin taking proactive steps in preparation for any level of impact we may face from this storm. Residents are urged to stay connected by frequently checking for updates. Well, Florida has issued evacuation orders as Tampa braces for a direct hit from Hurricane Milton, leaving residents there in a heightened state of alert. On Grand Bahama, some residents are just busy making preparations just in case. Cleopatra Murphy has the details.
Get prepared. It's a dangerous one.
As Hurricane Milton barrels towards Florida, expected to bring with it deadly storm surge of up to 20 feet. Although not directly in its path, Grand Bahamians are in full preparation mode, having learned valuable lessons from Hurricane Dorian.
Persons are taking the storm with a bit of caution. I don't know how overreactive they are, but they are showing some sign of caution. They are picking up basic hurricane items. This has been going on basically from the hurricane season, but within the last 2 days, we have seen an uptick in person shopping for hurricane supplies.
At Dolly Madison Home Center, General Manager James Rowe says items like batteries, flashlights, fuel canisters, portable stoves, tarps, and other essentials are flying off the shelves as business has seen a boost due to Hurricane Milton. Florida resident Lou DiMartino will ride out the rough seas on his boat with family, but has stocked up on food and other supplies. Not overly concerned, he still offers this advice.
No point in staying if it's going to be a dangerous storm. Just get out. There's nothing worth, risking your life over, Otherwise, just do the normal prep, and stay home is sometimes safer.
After having experienced the terror of Hurricane Dorian, Christine Flowers takes nothing for granted and encourages others to be proactive.
It's serious because you don't know what's going to happen. Get your stuff ready. Don't wait too late.
Another resident, Alfred Smith, who stopped for a portable stove, says he is actively monitoring the storm.
You got to always take precaution and be concerned because it can shift at any given time based on the atmospheric conditions. So you got to be ready for it.
As Milton gets closer to landfall in Florida, Smith says Grand Bahamians are all too aware of the devastating impact of hurricanes, having weathered Dorian, and are far from complacent.
They know exactly what a hurricane can do, and so I think they're more aware and they're more conscious of the dangers of such events. And so they are really, whenever there's a caution out there, they've really taken the necessary step to be prepared.
Grand Bahama expects to experience wind and heavy rain associated with Hurricane Milton, and while not expected to get a direct hit, officials advise, prepare in advance, and continue to monitor the storm. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
Well, the Department of Social Services is responsible for hurricane shelters. Assistant Director Jody Burrows gives an update for the island of Grand Bahama.
Anticipate opening the 8 Mile Rock High School Gymnasium, which can accommodate approximately 500 shelterees, and of course the special needs shelter, which is Christ the King Church, the Foster B. Pestina Hall.
Now, if there is a need for East End to be evacuated, the Maurice Moore School will act as a shelter for that area. Now, all shelters will be activated once the administrator and Met Office warrants them that they need to be activated. In other news, Abaco is bracing for tropical storm impact from Hurricane Milton. The Member of Parliament for South and Central Abaco says that they are prepared for whatever the storm brings. Shalia Roll reports.
As Hurricane Milton is about to make landfall in Florida, the northern Bahamas is expected to feel the outer bands of this massive storm. As Bahamians are adhering to the necessary storm preparedness protocols, the Member of Parliament for South and Central Abaco says that they are already experiencing some effects of this weather system.
We are watching Hurricane Milton as it approached, and also the low pressure disturbance that grew on top of us yesterday. We have had heavy rains and winds. It looks like we're in a bit of a lull right now where it has calmed down, but more weather is approaching. We do have minor flooding in the low-lying areas. We are watching it, and Public Works is on the road right now doing their assessments.
Although the island is experiencing weather, the airport is still open, allowing visitors to travel. Pinder says that as there is still air travel, DRM officials are sending charter planes to the island to assist residents who may still have damage to their home.
He told us that he'll be sending a charter plane in with some tarps and other things to assist us with houses that may still be leaky through the extensive rain that we've been having.
As these northern islands are expected to experience tropical storm effects, the Member of Parliament says that the Emergency Command Center is now open.
Our Incident Command Center will be open full-time and fully staffed with members from the relevant agencies that deal with the emergency response. But we had opened this morning partially, so we are in place and ready to go.
MP Pinder says that the hurricane shelters that are listed are ready to go once officials give the word to activate them. However, the hurricane shelter in Central Pines that was destroyed on the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Dorian is still under construction. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Shalia Rule.
And still to come.
When we come back, former Red Cross administrator praising NGOs for their work. That story and sports highlights when we return.
There are some things that are undeniably Bahamian. A good count salad, junkanoo, the way we worship, the way we take care of one another, all undeniably Bahamian. And right in the midst of our iconic things, places, and people is Commonwealth Bank. Increasing access, sponsoring dreams, working alongside Bahamians to increase the quality of their lives for more than 60 years. Commonwealth Bank, nothing more than being Bahamian. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
On down and see what Dolly Madison has in store for you. Renovate and rejuvenate at Dolly Madison.
Ever heard of variety? At Hair Depot Plus, we have hair, skin, home appliances, body care, garden tools, and cleaning supplies. We are located in the LMR Mall. WhatsApp us at 808-5316. Now, that is what I call variety.
It's KB and Friends live in concert at the Grand Lucayan Ballroom Sunday, October 13th. Gates open at 6 p.m. and the show starts at 8 p.m. Tickets are $60 in advance, $80 at the door. Sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry for Grand Bahama, and Extreme Auto.
Your #1 team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
And welcome back. The Bahamas Red Cross has been a staple in providing assistance to many on the island of Grand Bahama. Now, as they near the return of its widely supported Red Cross Ball, we hear from a former administrator who recounts how the NGOs stood in the gap for so many. Shane Stubbs provides this report.
The Bahamas Red Cross's presence here on Grand Bahama has undoubtedly been felt over the years, with initiatives like the Meals on Wheels program, first aid training, and national disaster relief. Former Administrator Mary Culmer has witnessed firsthand the lengths it has gone to in that regard. While food provision was never an issue, the main concern was the day-to-day financial toll. First aid training acted as their primary source of income, but through the Red Cross Ball, they found a bevy of success through the generous donations of its sponsors buying into the long-standing vision of serving the community.
You had Meals on Wheels, but you needed to pay for the gas for the van that took the meals out. You needed to pay for the gas to cook the food for the Meals on Wheels. You needed to pay for the lights to keep the refrigerators on, etc., for the day-to-day operation.
From our estimation, the current at-risk poverty level brought on by multiple natural disasters over the years has increased the need for the organization. However, the faithful service of the instructors during a very uncertain time cannot go unforgotten.
They provided those services to us free of charge, and I'm forever grateful. It made my life a little more pleasant here. This is God's business. God takes care of the poor among us. And each time that I would have felt distressed, something major happened. Someone would walk in and give me a check, which would have helped me over the hump at that time.
With the call to action ringing louder and louder, Culmer says now is the time for a renaissance.
We are hoping to revitalize our community and their interest with the Red Cross, and we're hoping to begin that here with this ball next month. We are the Red Cross, resilient, renewed, recharged.
The Renaissance Ball takes place Saturday, October 19th at the Grand Lucayan Ballroom. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Shane Stubbs.
Thanks, Shane. And now it's time to ask GBPC.
How does Grand Bahama Power Company prepare for a hurricane?
That's a frequently asked question. So GBPC prepares for storm season beginning from the month of January to May, which is pre-storm season. This is the time that we take to review our playbooks and our procedures. These help us to determine what it is we should do and when we should do it. During the month of May, post into storm season, we then begin to monitor the weather forecast. This keeps us on our toes. We continue to watch the weather forecast and have frequent Charter Committee monthly meetings. This helps us to stay on task and also assess as conditions change. In the event we do incur a storm, we then conduct a lessons learned. Lessons learned help us to restore more safely and even quickly in the future.
And that's a look at stories making news. Jay, tell us what's happening in sports.
Well, there's been a lot of cancellations this entire week with the weather, but hopefully swimming begins at the end of the month with the first swim meet.
All right, that's coming up next. But first, here's a check on your local weather forecast.
Tonight's weather forecast is brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
'Cause it's so beautiful.
See news in the making? Call us at 352-9713 or 359-5167, or you can email us at zns3news@gmail.com.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
Hi, I want to put some shoes on your feet.
I still want to put shoes on your feet.
I want to put some shoes on your feet.
And I still want to put shoes on your feet.
We still want to put shoes on your feet.
2 locations to put shoes on your feet. Downtown Freeport, and now our newest location in the Carmichael City Shopping Plaza, right behind the Walk-Up Wendy's, Carmichael Road West.
Bahamas Diamond Eagle Foundation presents Youth Ambassador Awards. Under the theme, We Can, Philippians 4:13, we will be honoring the life of the late Sir Jack Hayward and Mr. Edward St. George. They will be awarded the Diamond Award. We will also be honoring Mr. Keith Cooper, Mr. Shavano Buddy Hill, Mr. Charles Softly Robbins, Mr. Nigel Kirby, Pastor Anthony Williams, and Mr. Chris Payne. And they will be awarded the Diamond Eagle Youth Ambassador Award. It's all happening Saturday, October 12th at the Pelican Bay Hotel, Port Lucaya. Cocktail reception at 6:30 p.m. Award ceremony at 8 p.m. Dress code cocktail formal. Ticket outlets are Frank's Ice Cream. Tickets are $50. For more information, call 805-2093. See you at the Bahamas Diamond Eagle Foundation Youth Ambassador Awards, Saturday, October 12th at Pelican Bay Hotel, Port Lucaya.
Hi, I'm Derek Stubbs.
And I'm Cindy Russell. ZNS 810 AM presents
Grand Bahama. Get ready for the event of the year. Experience a live recording of one of the Bahamas' leading gospel ensembles, Shabbat, on stage with some of gospel's greats, along with the Grand Bahama Gospel Community. Sunday, National Heroes Day weekend, October 13th, 7 p.m., Jubilee Cathedral, East Settlers Way. It's a free event. Don't miss an experience of a lifetime.
But it doesn't stop there. You can be a part of the largest music workshop and coming together of the island's best in creative arts. Register today by scanning here or get an application from your local church. The Grand Bahama Music Workshop begins Wednesday, October 9th at 7 p.m. nightly through Friday the 11th. Sessions for choir members, praise teams, dancers, musicians, sound technicians, and media operators. The nightly sessions followed by a mass choir rehearsal to record special songs at Shabbat's live recording.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm Jay Philippe, and welcome to Sport. First in sports, the swim season kicks off in a matter of weeks for Grand Bahama athletes. Mako Aquatics Grand Bahama Swim Club is looking to have another successful season in the pool. Kimaya Sanders in the girls' 13-14 age group and Kimani Cooper in the boys' 9-10 age group are both looking to make curve the cuts this year.
Last year, I would say I didn't do so well last year Nationals because I lost some of my events, but this year I did come back and I'm very close to some records, so this year I'm working extra hard to get that record so that I'll be able to make it next year. And also I'm trying to work hard so I can be on the Carifta team again because now I know I have a lot more competition. I'm working on some other strokes because I've only been to Carifta for breaststroke, so hopefully this year I could get some other strokes, make some other times, so I'll be able to add more events to my list.
Last year, the season for me was amazing because in nationals, I get the high point trophy for 9, 10, and I win a lot of medals. For the new season, I'm working on some different strokes to be better at it. So like butterfly, I'm not too well at it, but I'm working on my kick and my pull so I can do better on my underwaters.
Next in sports, Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty advanced to the WNBA Finals for the second year in a row. The Liberty eliminated the two-time defending champs, Las Vegas Aces, in 4 games. The Liberty will now wait on the winner of the Minnesota Lynx and Connecticut Sun series in the finals, which begins Thursday, October 10th. And finally in sports, the Grand Bahamas Soccer Club is now in full swing at the YMCA soccer field with Coach Mary and Donnie Knowles on Saturdays for boys and girls. This past weekend, the youngsters had the opportunity to train with the University of Bahamas men's soccer team. Training begins from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's your quick check on sports. Your Facebook friend of the day is up next. Be blessed.
We all need to save. Save time, gas, and money. Shopping at Save More can help you do just that. Make us your first stop for all your prescription needs and medical supplies. Get all your health and beauty items at the same time. And don't miss our huge choice of snacks to satisfy your cravings. And the largest vitamin selection and over-the-counter relief products. Need diapers and other baby care items? First stop. The new section for makeovers, cosmetics, and beautiful jewelry will make you sparkle for that next special event. Save More Drugs, your more store.
Jade Champagne and The Rhythm presents 102.7 The Rhythm turns 3, and it's a big performance with Taurus Riley live. Taurus Riley live. Oh yeah, the hitmaker, the reggae icon, Taurus Riley live. Saturday, December 14th at the Grand Lucayan Ballroom. Doors open at 8 p.m., showtime at 11 p.m. For 102.7 The Rhythm. Big birthday party with Taurus Riley. Live. Get tickets online now. TheRhythm3.com. And it's a big performance. Taurus Riley. Brought to you by Jade Champagne and The Rhythm. Saturday, December 14th, 102.7 The Rhythm. Turns 3 with Taurus Riley. Live.
Your number 1 team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
And that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. On behalf of the entire ZNS News team here in the North, and Mamiko Knowles, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to stay tuned. The Bahamas Tonight continues.
Go ahead, Kush.
I'm saying it. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight. The Prime Minister to address the nation this evening on the potential impact of Hurricane Milton on the northern Bahamas. But while we await what local officials have to say, we begin our newscast with the state of Florida. Residents there bracing for what could be historic loss of life, destruction, and a long road to recovery ahead. All as the Sunshine State finds finds itself in the direct path of what's expected to be a violent attack from Hurricane Milton. Residents in many parts of the state have been ordered to leave. Bahamians there are being urged to take precautionary measures, many returning home as uncertainty builds about what will happen next. Tonight, the fate of Florida is prompting discussion about what we here in the Bahamas need to do right now. Corval Pyfrom has that story.
ZNS News is brought to you by the new.
From Sunday that the regular flight was full and that persons wanted to come out once they recognized how strong the hurricane was going to be. So we placed an additional.
The Bahamas does not appear to be in the projected path of Hurricane Milton, which is set for a collision course with Florida and the Gulf Coast, bringing with it what is expected to be unprecedented levels of destruction. And while we may be spared, just like the last few days, we are feeling the effects of this system. Director of the Environmental Planning and Protection Unit, Dr. Rihanna Neely.
We are creating an environment through the emissions of our greenhouse gases that continue to absorb the heat from the atmosphere. The ocean is intended to absorb the heat and to absorb these gases. So the ocean is just doing what it's supposed to do.
The long and short of what's driving all of this comes down to two words: climate change. Dr. Neely says for the last 9 years, we have seen record levels of heat. She's an environmental scientist, and in her own words, she cringes at what the next 9 years could be like if this current trend holds. You think things are bad now? Well, according to Neely, they're about to get a whole lot worse.
The impacts are not just hydrometeorological, of course. We're going to experience other kinds of impacts that relate to human illnesses that we need to be taken into consideration. We're starting now to do research in our hospitals now to see about these climate-related illnesses and tracking so that we can be prepared for what we expect to be the impacts of climate change.
And our economy sits vulnerable, she cautions.
Because we are very reliant on economies outside of the Bahamas. So when an event like this happens in the United States or in another place, an import-export partner, we will experience the shocks of those kinds of impacts as well.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Corval Pyfrom.
Well, meantime, a 5-member ministerial team spearheading the Caribbean community's preparation for the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties, better known as COP29, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The CARICOM representatives from Trinidad and Tobago, Belize, Grenada, Suriname, and Dominica will use the high-level environmental meeting set for November 11th through the 22nd in Azerbaijan to advocate urgent climate action and robust financial commitments addressing the unique vulnerabilities of small island developing states. A ministerial champion for loss and damage will also be identified. It is a landmark year for financing as CARICOM seeks to secure a climate finance goal that guarantees access for SIDS to grant-based or concessional finance, especially for adaptation and loss and damage, respectively. Well, the National Fly Carrier making its final flight out of Orlando this afternoon, and according to Bahamas Air's Managing Director Tracy Cooper, that's expected to remain the case until the hurricane passes and that airport reopens.
We recognized from Sunday that the regular flight was full and that persons wanted to come out once they recognized how strong the hurricane was going to be. So we placed an additional jet flight onto that service yesterday afternoon. And, you know, it's a good thing that we did. We came out with over 100 passengers on the airplane. We had passengers both for Nassau, Freeport, and beyond into some of the other islands. Presently, we have flights into Miami and Fort Lauderdale. We expect that this will continue. We will only interrupt the flights if the weather dictates.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. There's more news in a moment.
In the chaos of our daily lives, it's easy to be caught up
in the rush. But when you're behind the wheel, remember, rushing can lead to disaster. Don't rush. Take your time. Remember, your life and others depends on it. Slow down. Stay alert and arrive alive. Because in the race of life, it's not about how fast you get there, but how safely.
This message is brought to you by Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
KFC is giving you more to love with our KFC Bucket Meals with large size. Get the KFC Family Bucket featuring 8 pieces of juicy chicken, family fries, and 4 biscuits that feeds 4. A KFC Deluxe Bucket with 10 pieces of delicious chicken, 2 larger sides, and 4 biscuits that feeds 4 to 6. Or a KFC Party Bucket with 15 pieces of our chicken, 3 larger sides, and 6 biscuits that feeds 6. And we'll handle the dishes, plates, and utensils included, so you can lick your fingers and reach. KFC knows value, and it's finger licking good.
With BGC's crystal clear mobile service, stay connected seamlessly, whether on land or at sea. Our reliable postpaid plans keep your loved ones closer, no matter where life takes you.
A legacy of leadership. Join the International Third World Leadership Association in partnership with the Miles and Ruth Monroe Foundation for Legacy Weekend, celebrating the legacy of Dr. Miles Monroe and other visionary leaders. November 8th to the 9th. Experience 3 powerful events. ITWLA hosts Legacy Leadership Lectures, honoring distinguished global leaders. November 9th, the Miles and Ruth Monroe Foundation presents Legacy Walk to Remember. 5K and 10K routes along West Bay Streets, Nassau, Bahamas. Then join us for the Legacy Reunion Concert, featuring Grammy-winning gospel artist Yolanda Adams and Sherwin Gardner at the Miles E. Monroe Diplomat Center.
Hey guys, it's Yolanda Adams. It's about to be a celebration November 8th through the 10th at the Miles E. Monroe Diplomat Center. I can't wait to see you. Come on.
Visit ITWLA.com for details. Don't miss Legacy Weekend.
Portion of the news is brought to you by Bahamas Striping Group of Companies.
You're looking at a shot of a sunset over Atlantis. Welcome back. Bahamas Power and Light's much talked about transformation, clearly not only structural. In terms of manpower, a new chief executive officer has been appointed to lead the power giant in the person of Long Islander Toni Seymour. Seymour, the very first Bahamian woman to hold the position in the company's nearly 70-year history, replaces Siobhan Cambridge, who was appointed in 2022. Seymour's appointment touted as one that exemplifies BPL's commitment to advancing women in STEM, reflecting its dedication to fostering a diverse and inclusive leadership team. BPL's new CEO, no stranger to the energy sector, having began her career in the company's Engineer in Training program, where she rose through the ranks to hold key leadership positions. Her new role includes spearheading efforts to expand solar power integration and overseeing New Providence's power purchase agreements. Well, the Attorney General is seeking to make as strong a case as any for plea agreements, which in recent days have drawn the ire of some members of the public. And this particularly following the sentencing of Joel Strawn. The 22-year-old was sentenced to 9 years after pleading guilty to a string of crimes, including the rape of an 83-year-old woman. Disclosing numbers in the upper chamber Monday, Senator the Honorable Ryan Pinder KC cited that of the 162 criminal cases disposed of last year, 44 were as a result of plea agreements. So far this year, that number stands at 29.
I want to reassure the public that when we pursue a plea deal in the courts, it's not about being lenient on the accused. It's about making sure that justice is served in the best way possible, having regard for the facts and circumstances around that particular case. As mentioned, sometimes factors like the availability of witnesses and the strength of the evidence come into play. In one particular case that drew complaints, we faced real challenges as to the quality of the evidence in the matter. And so the choice was made, Madam President, Do you risk not obtaining a conviction because of the quality of the evidence? Or do you negotiate and arrive at a guilty plea and ensure that justice is actually done?
A leader of opposition business in the Senate, Darren Henfield, using his contribution to debate on the National Crime Intelligence Amendment Bill to renew the argument for the death penalty. From the onset, dismissing critics who may cast aside his comments as purely political.
I understand the proponents for, and I understand those who advocate against. I get all of that. Sometimes you execute, one of the main arguments is you might execute the wrong person. That's an argument. Another argument is that execution is not a deterrent to people committing violent acts and killing people. In my mind, it's not meant to be a deterrent. It's meant to be a punishment. It's meant to exact judgment upon a person. Value for value. Value for value, man. How you can just walk around here, walk up to a father with his children.
Well, we now go live to the Disaster Risk Management's live press conference on Hurricane Milton.
Thank you all so much, and welcome to the National Disaster Emergency Operations Center of the DRM Authority, formerly known as NEMA. I'd like to welcome you all to our hurricane update for Hurricane Milton. We've been very fortunate thus far in the hurricane season in that we have not received any direct impact, and if we are lucky, we will not get a full impact from this hurricane as well. However, as you all know, a tropical storm watch has been issued for the northern islands, and we are anticipating indirect impacts and tropical storm conditions as early as Wednesday. We have a lineup of speakers today that will guide us through what we can expect over the next few days. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis.
Thank you very much. And please be seated. Good evening, everyone. After the briefing received in Cabinet this morning on the developments and preparations surrounding Hurricane Milton, I wanted to speak to you, the Bahamian people, directly. At 6 p.m. this evening, the Met Office issued its latest bulletin. Hurricane Milton continues to strengthen as it approaches the western coast of Florida and is currently a Category 5 hurricane. The Met Office has upgraded the status for islands in the northern Bahamas from a tropical storm watch to a tropical storm warning. This means that tropical storm conditions are expected within the next 36 hours on the islands of Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Bahama, and the surrounding keys. While the threat is not as significant as that of a hurricane threat posed to our neighbors in Florida, we still need to take it seriously. Tropical storms are nothing new for us. Year after year, we are told how we must prepare and ready ourselves and our homes to keep us all safe. But we know how quickly things can change. The storm, in particular, has intensified extremely rapidly. And so, within the next 24 hours, it is important that you do all that you can to stay safe. The Disaster Risk Management Authority has issued detailed guidance on how best to prepare. Please don't wait. If you haven't already done so, start preparing now. The Met Office advises that as Hurricane Milton passes over Florida, tropical storm winds will be experienced on Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Bahama, and as I said earlier, the surrounding keys. These islands have already experienced excessive rainfall since Sunday from another storm system, and so the ground is already saturated with water. Heavy rainfall has also been experienced on other islands in recent days, namely on Andros, the Berry Islands, New Providence, and Eleuthera. And now the rainfall from Hurricane Milton is expected to intensify, especially overnight tomorrow night. The Met Office advises that as a result, there's likely to be extensive flooding. Take whatever precautions necessary to protect yourselves from this excessive flooding. The Met Office also advises that from noon tomorrow, that is on Wednesday, heavy rainfall is also expected on those other islands, Andros, the Berry Islands, New Providence, and Eleuthera. Because of the heavy flooding which is expected to result from this, after consultation with the Minister of Education, I'm announcing that all schools on those islands will be closed until Friday for in-person teaching. We don't want our young people having to navigate large areas of flooding while getting to and from school. The Ministry of Education will provide further detailed guidance. The broadcast alert system has already been activated on all mobile phones in the country, and you have received one earlier this afternoon. Please pay attention to the alerts and follow the advice given. ZNS and other news outlets will broadcast further alerts and updates as they are issued. Stay tuned to official channels for updates from the Bahamas Department of Meteorology. Friends, for the past several months, I've held monthly meetings with the disaster risk management team. Compared to what was in the past, the team has greatly enhanced the degree of national preparedness. They are coordinating efforts across all sectors to ensure that the agency is ready to respond swiftly and effectively. I expect that those of you, especially in Abaco and Grand Bahama, may well find this time to be the cause of some anxiety. Given the projected path of Hurricane Milton and the fact that it is not projected to make landfall in the Bahamas, there's no need for panic or alarm. Even so, much has been learnt and improved upon from past experiences. One of the lessons is that it is better to take extra precautions rather than be taken by surprise by unforeseen events. In other words, as my grandfather would say, it's better to be safe than sorry. Focus your efforts on being safe. For example, if your home is at risk of flooding, go and stay with a friend or relative whose home may not face such risk. Stock up on water, food, batteries, and so on, as you would when facing a direct threat of a hurricane. Clear anything from your property which may be blown around in the wind. Protect your doors and windows. Raise your furniture or other household valuables off the floor in case of the flooding. And of course, and more importantly, protect yourselves. We will continue to monitor the storm extremely closely. The Family Island Administrators, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the National Youth Guard, the Ministry of Works, and all our major agencies are on standby. They are ready to respond and deploy resources as needed to protect and support our communities. We remain in close touch with our partner agencies in the United States and in the region. To those fellow Bahamians residing in Florida, I strongly urge you to take this hurricane extremely seriously. If you are in Florida, Milton is a powerful and dangerous storm, and is forecast to remain so as it makes landfall on Florida's west coast. Please heed the warnings from local authorities, make necessary preparations, and take all measures to ensure your safety and that of your families. The Governor of the Bahamas is coordinating our efforts with our consular offices and local Bahamian associations in Florida to provide assistance wherever possible. As Bahamians, we are no strangers to the challenges posed by tropical storms and hurricanes. We have faced them before, and we have emerged stronger each time. Let us remain vigilant, prepared, and ready to act. Our government stands prepared to take every necessary measure to protect lives, property, and communities. I want to thank you, and may God continue to bless and protect the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for those words of both caution and assurance. I am sure all of the emergency support functions here present take heart in your confidence in their abilities and their commitment. They have been working hard over the last several days. I would now like to invite Mr. Jeffrey Simmons, Acting Director of the Bahamas Department of Meteorology, who will give us an appraisal of the status of the storm and the conditions we can expect over the next few days.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Milton developed in the Gulf of Mexico last week, and since its development, we have been watching it closely to see what was going on. At first, looking at even up to yesterday, while we were monitoring the system, we did not see the need to issue any alerts for any of the islands of the Bahamas. However, on yesterday, Milton really became a very powerful, record-breaking, as a matter of fact, hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico on yesterday. And it developed the forecast models and everything. We all have an agreement on the movement of the system, taking a northwest track from the northern Yucatan Peninsula into the east coast of central Florida. However, last night, an interesting thing happened that is not very uncommon with these type of storms. Something that we call eyewall replacement began to take place last night. And as a result of that happening, what that usually means for us then is that the wind field of Milton, we realize now, began to expand. And we noticed that a lot today while it was still moving away from the Yucatan Peninsula. As a result of that, we realized that as Milton passed across central Florida, now because of its increase in size, there's a possibility that the islands, or that are northern islands, in particular Abaco, Grand Bahama, and Bimini, can be affected and could experience tropical storm force winds. So after consultation among ourselves, local meteorologists, and also with our colleagues at the National Hurricane Center, it was decided that we would issue a tropical storm watch today at noon today, which we did. Looking at the forecast, and everything is holding to what we forecast, we saw now that this could really come to being. So now we are in a warning mode, which means that 36 hours we could start to experience these tropical storm force winds. Because the islands of the Bahamas is just on the outer peripheral of the hurricane, we would only experience tropical storm force winds. Even though it's a very powerful hurricane, you have to be within at least 50 miles of the center of the storm to experience the hurricane force winds. So we don't, on the forecast track, which we have high confidence in, will not take that path, but will take the path moving into central Florida on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So what we did was, what Mr. Jeffrey Green, our chief meteorologist, did was he put together what kind of impacts we can face on these islands. And so I'll let him come and explain to us with the graphic what we can expect as a result of Milton as it passes through the area.
Ms. Taylor, can you start? Good evening, everyone. Ms. Taylor, can you start advance? Okay. All right, so this storm is a Category 5 storm, and because of its mass size, even though we'll be well to the south of it, we expect that we will get some squally conditions with possible tornadic activity. So as the storm moves closer to Florida, we will see more and more activity across the northern and northwest Bahamas, parts of the central Bahamas. The southeast is pretty much going to stay pretty calm for the most of the passage of the storm. The motion, as you can see, the storm, the blue would be the tropical storm force winds of 39 miles an hour to 57 miles an hour. And that will start to affect Grand Bahama 9 a.m. on Thursday, and that will last until 7 a.m. on Friday. As you continue to move the system you will see the wind field in the blue again starts to move across northern Abaco, and that will affect them from 4 p.m. on Thursday until 10 a.m. on Friday. Again, as it moves, you will see that wind field move across, continue. It will move across central Abaco, and that will affect them from 9 p.m. on Thursday until 10 a.m. on Friday. South Abaco will be just outside of that tropical storm force winds, but they may get some gusty winds up to tropical storm force. Again, it's likely that Bimini will be right on the outskirts of the tropical storm force winds. So they may get gusts to tropical storm force, which is 39 miles an hour or greater, but I don't think they will have sustained winds. So based on that, we know that Freeport will be under the gun from Thursday, with a lot of that wind affecting them, and plus that squally conditions that will really keep the thunderstorms and severe weather activity most likely affecting them through that period. We expect clearing as we go into Friday afternoon. So as the system pulls further away from us, we expect that Friday we'll see some reprieve in terms of the weather conditions. The winds, like I said, will drop off around 10 a.m. on Friday. So that would be time for us to assess if there's any damage or anything happens during the time that we had tropical storm conditions. We expect the same amount of rainfall of 4 to 6 inches across the northern Bahamas, but up to isolated amounts of 10 inches. So we know, and this is true Friday morning. So we know that we've been getting that. We've been getting a lot of rainfall. We expect that will continue until Friday, and then some improvement as I say the storm move away from the area. For the Northwest, we expect 3 to 5 inches of rainfall with isolated maximums of around 6 inches. Sorry, that's 8 inches. So again, I read the rain gauges today, just from last night into this morning. Well, today when I read them, we had over 2 inches of rainfall. So we know that we've been having heavy amounts of rainfall that have been passing through the islands, especially for New Providence. We've had some flooding on the roadways, and we expect that to continue until the system is truly out of the Bahamas area. For the central, we expect 1 to 2 inches with isolated maximum of around 4 inches of rainfall. We expect that to be spotty, not as we have it in the Northwest and the northern Bahamas. There will be more spotty times where you will find that throughout the islands. And for the southeast Bahamas, we expect basically less than 2 inches of rainfall because they're not expected to be impacted as the system is more north of the southeast Bahamas. So the other thing that we're worried about is coastal inundation from the high surf and the waves that are going to come from the system. We expect that the majority of that will happen on Friday, which is because the storm is moving away. The wind-generated waves will be impacted the northern shores of islands. That means that they will have some really high surf that will most likely affect the coastlines, and that will mean inundation of water coming on shore. So those who are in coastal areas, be aware that even though the storm may be leaving us on Friday, that's when we'll have the majority of that water impacting the northern shores on Friday and Saturday, with some improvement on Sunday. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Green. Up next, I'd like to invite Minister of State in the Ministry of Disaster Risk Management, the Honorable Leon Lundy, to give brief remarks regarding response.
Good evening, Bahamas. As we continue to monitor the approach of Hurricane Milton, I want to assure you that we are fully prepared and ready to support every community in this country. The government, through the DRM Authority, has been working to ensure that all islands have the necessary resources to withstand any storm. We have taken a strategic approach, decentralizing our disaster preparedness efforts, which means each island is able to focus on its own specific needs. Every island is unique in its geography, population distribution, and risk factors. This means that one solution does not fit all, and we are addressing each situation accordingly. Some islands may request resources for food and non-perishable supplies. Others need sandbags to guard against flooding, while still others are focusing on securing fuel for their generators to ensure power during potential outages. In this vein, we've been closely engaging with the Family Island administrators and representatives over the past few days. Yesterday afternoon, we held a critical meeting to assess and address the most urgent needs. One significant request across many islands was for tarps to secure homes against potential roof damage. I'm happy to report that the distribution of tarps have already begun in several communities, and those that have not yet received them will be receiving them first thing in the morning. This is part of our proactive approach to ensuring that no home goes unprotected as we brace for this storm. At the heart of our efforts is a commitment to ensuring that resources are not only provided, but are distributed effectively. We have teams on the ground working in real time to get these critical supplies to where they are most needed. The Disaster Risk Management Authority is coordinating with local officials, the Defense Force and Police Force, and volunteers across the country. This type of collaboration is what will allow us to respond to Hurricane Milton swiftly and effectively, should there be any unforeseen impacts once the storm approaches. But it's important to remember that while we are doing everything we can as an agency to prepare and respond, preparedness begins at home. I want to strongly urge every resident to take this storm seriously. Now is the time to act, if you haven't already done so. Gather your emergency supplies, including water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and any medications that you may need for the next few days. Check your surroundings, secure any loose items in your yard, and make sure your homes are secure as possible. Additionally, if you are living in a low-lying or flood-prone area, we encourage you to make preparations to evacuate to a safer location if needed. The shelters will be opened if the need arises, and they are well equipped with the necessary resources. Please ensure you stay tuned to all advisories coming from the Met Office, the DRM Authority, and other official sources. Community solidarity is vital during times like these. We ask that you also check in on your neighbors, particularly the elderly and vulnerable, making sure that they too have what they need. This is a time when coming together as a community can make all the difference. It is also important to remain calm but vigilant. Hurricanes are unpredictable and conditions can change rapidly. Continue to monitor all updates and do not let your guard down until the all clear has been issued. Our nation has weathered storms before, and each time we have come out stronger because of the resilience and determination of our people. I want to reiterate that your safety is our top priority. Don't wait. The government is doing everything in its power to mitigate the risks and ensure that you have the support you need. We are confident in our disaster preparedness plans, but we also need you to do your part. As Hurricane Milton approaches, please take every precaution and make the necessary preparations for you and your loved ones. And may God bless and keep the Bahamas safe. Thank you. At this time, I also wanted to acknowledge the presence of our official opposition, the members that are here, members of Parliament, members of the Senate, and also our Commissioner of Police and our Commodore of the Defense Force. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And now I would like to invite our last speaker of the evening of the press conference, Managing Director of the Disaster Risk Management Authority, Mr. Aaron Sargent, who will bring details of our response efforts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just give a brief update to the response efforts of the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Subsequent to the special weather statement by the Bahamas Department of Meteorology yesterday, October 7th at 3 p.m., which detailed, as we all know, the severe weather impacts of Hurricane Milton, the DRM Authority would have hosted a meeting with all of the Northern Islands and districts, all of the Family Island administrators, members of Parliament, and the Disaster Risk Management Consultative Committees. We spoke to them on their state of readiness, any challenges that they would have anticipated ahead of the weather statement and the potential impacts from Hurricane Milton. Subsequently, the National Disaster Emergency Operations Center was partially activated, along with the incident command centers in those districts of Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, as well as North Andros, Central Andros, Abaco, North Abaco, and Central Abaco. Additionally, the Department of Meteorology would have issued Alert Number 1 for Hurricane Milton on October 8th at 12 noon, placing a tropical storm watch in effect for the northern Bahamas. This includes Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini, and it in turn triggered a full activation of the incident command centers on all of those islands. As we've heard, we know where the current storm position of Hurricane Milton is, and we are expecting some potential impact to those areas, including Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. Our emergency support function groups have been activated. Function groups like communications, transportation, health, and medical services, urban and marine search and rescue, public works, and utilities were all activated and are assisting with coordinating efforts to address the needs of affected residents. As we've heard earlier from our minister, tarps and supplies have been sent. About approximately 400 tarps have been sent to Abaco and Grand Bahama, and an additional lot will be sent in the morning. As we've heard from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education has announced that schools in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Key will be closed for face-to-face learning on from today, October 8th to the 9th. We have tested successfully our internal communication systems that has been recently donated by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. It is a Barrett high-frequency system, and it was tested as of today and is working, which allows us to have established communication with SEDEMA, which is located in Barbados. Shelter and medical preparations. Communications have been made with all of the shelters or identified shelters in the Northern Bahamas. The shelters are confirmed and ready if the need arises to be activated. Clinics as well in the Northern Bahamas are equipped and ready. Travel and transportation. The Lyndon Pinling International Airport, along with airports located in the Northern Bahamas, remains operational. However, some flights from Orlando and Tampa have been canceled. In addition, Fresh Creek runway was reported to have flooding, but they remain operational. Lastly, we would have met with the officials from SEDEMA early on today. They have now placed their response mechanisms on standby to assist if need be. We have also identified potential hazards that we expect to see from the passage of Hurricane Milton, which include localized flooding, some roof damage, etc., and the needs for tarp. We have advised them that if we reach a capacity where we need assistance, we'll reach out to them for that assistance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Managing Director. And with that last speaker, I would like to bring this press conference to a close and thank everybody for attending. To the people of the Bahamas, I echo our Prime Minister and our Minister of State for Disaster Risk Management in saying, don't wait, get storm ready. This storm is essentially upon us, and we are doing our part to ensure that everyone feels as safe as possible in the approach of Hurricane Milton. We ask you to also do your part in protecting your homes, protecting your families, protecting your businesses. So once again, we thank everyone for attending, and with that, we bring this press conference to a close. Thank you, everyone.
Now, as you just heard, massive Hurricane Milton, not to be taken lightly, not when it's already shattered records in the Atlantic Basin to become one of the strongest storms ever. And while Milton's forecasted landfall is not the Bahamas, its aim is close enough. Tonight, we heard from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis. We also heard from the Acting Director of the Met Office, Jeffrey Simmons, along with Chief Meteorologist Jeffrey Green, the Minister of State with responsibility under whose portfolio falls the Disaster Risk Management Agency, Leon Lundy, as well as Aaron Sargent. Now, our Devontae Hanna is standing live at the DRM's Gladstone Road headquarters. Devontae, some takeaways.
Good evening, Makushla. A tropical storm warning is now in effect for the islands of Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. This as the Disaster Risk Management Authority today held a press conference, and they say while the country may not be feeling the full brunt of Hurricane Milton, they are not taking any chances and are ensuring that residents across the length and breadth of the Bahamas remain safe. The Prime Minister also announcing today, just moments ago, that schools in Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, New Providence, Eleuthera, as well as Andros will be closed until Friday, as it is expected that Hurricane Milton will bring heavy rains that can start at around 12 noon tomorrow. Now, of course, as it relates to those tropical storm winds and tropical storm conditions that can be expected in those islands, Grand Bahama can feel that impact as early as 9 a.m. on Thursday. Of course, Abaco can feel that impact as early as 4 p.m. on Thursday as well. And of course, meteorologists say that 3 to 6 inches of rain is expected on those northern coast islands, and in the central Bahamas we can expect up to 4 inches of rain, and in the southeast Bahamas less than 2 inches of rain to be felt as those tropical storm conditions spread across the Bahamas. And of course, the all clear, according to meteorologists, can be given by as early as 10 a.m. on Friday. Now, the government through the DRM authority assured residents that they will continue to do their part to ensure that they all remain safe. They said that there have been several meetings with island representatives, island administrators, members of parliament. You can see several cabinet ministers are here on the ground to ensure that all plans and recovery efforts are happening. Now back to you, Makushla.
A decade ago, the Bahamas Striping Group of companies was birthed out of a passion to change the way we travel. From only a $5,000 grant, the tenacity and work ethic has propelled BSGC to one of the leading road management companies in the Caribbean. We pride ourselves on going the extra mile where others won't, through the use of our state-of-the-art equipment and our certified team. Although the success is commendable, the road has been long. Yet, the mission continues in striving to be a world-class organization ran by Bahamians for Bahamians. With the help of our experienced and hardworking team, we at the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies are committed to making a difference, one road at a time.
People are going crazy for Popeyes around the world. Some have camped out for hours just to try our delicious chicken. This guy stocked up on 300 crunchy, juicy chicken sandwiches, just in case. And these lovebirds celebrated their wedding with the Popeyes cake. For real. We get it, y'all chicken lovers. Because we're just as crazy to marinate our chicken for 12 hours and make every piece by hand. That crazy love, we love. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Join us for Exuma Business Outlook, October 17th at Grand Isle Resort. Find out what is driving positive change for the future of Exuma. Keynote speaker MP for Exuma and Deputy Prime Minister I. Chester Cooper. Engage with panelists and presenters on better outcomes for the economy, business development, sustainable infrastructure, airports and airlift, technology, and more. Register today at tclevents.com.
The focus of tonight's Business Beat, Second Chances. Corville Pie Firm shows us tonight how 150 young people are being given a shot at theirs.
Many employers have lamented that it is increasingly difficult finding suitable candidates for entry-level jobs. These individuals simply lack basic training skills, thus creating an employment gap. This 4-week soft skills training by the National Training Agency is intended to reverse this alarming trend and give this latest group of 150 cohorts a chance at reaching their truest potential.
We give them a second chance. A lot of them, some of them maybe they didn't do good in school. Maybe they felt as though that they lacked the skills to go and into the workplace. But here at the National Training Center, or Agency, this is exactly what we do. We prepare them for work.
Stania Davis, an assessment officer with the agency, worked closely with this group of 16 to 26-year-olds. Many lacked work experience but were eager to learn. This, she believes, is the start of a bright future for these youngsters.
They've been with us for the past 4 weeks, and let me tell you, it has been an experience. We have an amazing cohort.
Participants like Ashley Tilmy, Byron Knowles, and 17-year-old Derek Clear all agree the program is a useful tool for anyone trying to get a start.
What these programs did for me is just change my mindset to have a positive attitude when I go into the work field, and just to help my employer, my employee, and the people who I work with just to have a better working experience.
Over these past few weeks, we've learned the basics to join in the workforce and what to do and what not to do.
Well, today, I've learned that maintaining goals is very important, as well as, communication skills. That is necessary for us butlers to have, and we have to be good at it for our clients.
On the Business Beat, I'm Corville Piper.
Well, thanks, Corvo. We're now going to check in with LaDon and Marcellus, who's standing by to give us a sneak peek of Access Now. Guys?
Because I have to say this, pom, pom, beep, beep. The big red machine is in the house. I know your son goes to SAC. Marcellus is an alumni. My mother's a former alumni. And they're here to tell us a little bit about their ball. Right, Marcellus? I know you're excited.
Best in the world, best in the world. All right.
Well, sounds good. Stay with us. More condolences on the passing of Darrell Miller after the break.
Entire flight food and rest in there. We hope that you enjoyed your flight, and we look forward to serving you in the near future.
Dude, we forgot your daddy's birthday. He's in Eleuthera and we're all the way in Nassau. You got it? Okay. Yes, you're right.
Eleuthera for tomorrow? No problem.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
The Bahamas Press Club joins in extending condolences to family members of its founding president, Darrell Miller, who was found dead in his Minnie Street home Sunday. He was 69. In a career spanning more than 4 decades and including stints at the Nassau Guardian, Love 97, and ZNS, Miller is credited with distinguishing himself as a top-notch journalist committed to excellence. Be it reporting a story, calling election results, or guiding Bahamians through a hurricane, Darrell Miller says the club's president, Anthony Capron, was a one-of-a-kind journalist who left a lasting imprint on Bahamian journalism. Well, we leave you tonight with another look back at the man, the myth, the legend that was Darrell Miller.
Named Dorian, that is packing more danger and devastation than ever before in the history of our country. Number 4, Centerville, just coming in. James Alexander Daly, VCP, 0. Please put the 0 up.
Polling division number 3, the DLA's candidate is Theophanes Cochinamogulos.
But how can I forget the Bay Street Fire, the straw market? Where's the water? Darrell, that is legendary.
All over this country. Yes, we are walking back home. Back home. Lively and provocative.
And that does it for the National Report, but stay close. The Bahamas Tonight continues with Access Now.
Good to glow. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat, and it's good to grow.
Meet Kenneth Bowe. He's the owner of Exuma's Chat and Chill. If you've ever been to the Exuma's, Chat and Chill has